I'm Elizabeth, a literary princess. If you are new here, welcome. I'm a 6-year PhD candidate in English literature with a focus on Victorian women novelists. And as you might expect, I love to read. Today I have a book haul for you because my birthday is at the beginning of August. And of course, I get books. That's pretty much the only thing people buy for me because I want more books, obviously. I do, however, have 2 that I bought before my birthday that I bought for myself that I want to show you. And we're gonna start with them and then go into the birthday books. So let's jump in. So the first 2 books are actually by authors who I know. And the first of these is Devin Philbrick and his poetry collection, Snowdrifts. This just came out in April. I actually went to my undergrad with Devin. We were in a lot of creative writing workshops together and a lot of Brit-Lit classes. So when I saw him post on Facebook that his first poetry collection was being published, I of course wanted to buy it and support him. I also am really interested to read his poetry. I have read a few of his poems when he's published like in magazines, like online magazines, but I never got to read any of his poetry while we were in undergrad. I was only in fiction workshops with him. So I'm very interested to read this. And oh, he's actually got a quote from one of our professors on the back of it. That's funny. But yeah, very excited to check this out and very happy to see one of my friends being published. It's really cool, you know? It's just cool. And the next one will come as no surprise to anybody because I already read it and had it in my July wrap-up. This is The Trouble with Mrs Montgomery Heurst by Katie Lumsden from Books and Things, who I of course know through BookTube. It's so pretty and the book is so good. I want to show off this book because it's gorgeous. So, I mean, look at this cover, first of all. Here's the back. I love the silhouettes and the flowers. And then here is the spine with more of the flowers and the gold foil. And then if you take off the cover, at first it's just like, oh, okay, yeah, white hardback, okay. No, look at the spine. I don't know if it's focusing. Isn't it gorgeous? It's so gorgeous. And then we've got these lovely blue end papers. And it has a map. I know Katie was really excited about the map, and I was constantly referencing the map. I was like, okay, how far is this? Where are we? So yeah, I just absolutely love everything about this book, from the cover to the contents, everything. It is about a small county called Wickenshire in the 1840s, and one of the most eligible bachelors has unexpectedly gotten married to a woman who nobody knows. So gossip is flying. This is a book largely about gossip. It's really fun. It's reminiscent of Emma by Jane Austen or some of Elizabeth Gaskell's work. I know Cranford was a big influence on Katie. I have not read Cranford, and the Barsetshire series by Anthony Trollope was also a big influence, and you can see that, and it's just so fun. It's so fun. Go read this, and it's so pretty. I had pre-ordered it back in December and it came out mid-July, and I actually had to pre-order it from the UK because it's not being published in the US, which is a shame, but I like the UK cover quite a lot, so that's fine. And I also ordered her first book, The Secrets of Heartwood Hall, from the UK because I liked the cover better. So even if it had been published in the US, I might have just ordered it from Blackwell's anyway, and they do free international shipping. So yeah, beautiful, so happy with it. Ugh. And now we get into the birthday books. The first one is from my husband. We were reserved with gifts for this birthday because we just bought a new car, which is expensive. So he bought me one book that is for school, but it's pretty important. So this is The Uninhabited House by Charlotte Riddell, who is one of my dissertation authors. This is a Broadview edition that was just put out in 2000. I just nearly said 2002. No, 2022. And what I really wanted it for, other than to obviously have a book by one of my dissertation authors, was because there are 2 articles in the back. Lady Novelists, A Chat with Mrs. J.H. Riddell by Raymond Blaithwaite, which was published in the Pall Mall Gazette in 1890, and I could not get it for free. It was behind a paywall. My university didn't have access. I was trying everything I could think of, and then I found that it was in the back of this, and I was like, well, fine, I'll just buy a book. But yeah, so I wanted that, and then there's also another little write-up about Riddell, if I can find it. There's also one of her short stories back here, so I try to open it and it always goes to that. This is Mrs. Riddell by Helen C. Black from her book Notable Women Authors of the Day, published in 1893. I think I could have gotten that one for free because I probably just could have gotten the book through interlibrary loan if my library didn't have it, but I figured I'll just get this. And I'm really excited to read The Uninhabited House. This is one of Riddell's supernatural stories, so it's exciting. And I was happy to see that Broadview put out a book by her because I was under the impression that the only 2 books of hers in print were A Struggle for Fame by Tramp Press and Weird Stories by Victorian Secrets. So this was exciting that a main scholarly publisher was putting out one of her books because it means she's getting more attention. So thank you very much to my husband. I'm very happy with it. We have several books from my mother, and these are all for my 18th century novel project that I am doing in 2025. So I just gave her the list and was like, pick a few, and she did. So first up is a nonfiction. This is Romantic Outlaws, The Extraordinary Lives of Mary Wollstonecraft and Her Daughter Mary Shelley by Charlotte Gordon. This is a biography, a joint biography of Wollstonecraft and Shelley. I've heard such amazing things about this from so many people. It has been on my Goodreads TBR since it came out in 2016, I think. Might have even been 2015. I remember just immediately putting it on there. Yep, 2015. And I have put it on multiple lists for birthdays and Christmas and never gotten it, so I was very happy to get it this time, and I'm super excited to read it. And then the rest are 18th century novels, and the first is Tom Jones by Henry Fielding. Look at this chunky thing. Oh my God. I honestly have no idea what this is about other than a guy named Tom Jones. And I'm like kind of afraid to read the back because sometimes it just gives a lot of things away. One of the most ingenious plots in English fiction. Okay. Stands a hero whose actions were in 1749 as shocking as they are funny today. Expelled from Mr. Allworthy's country estate for his wild temper and sexual conquests, Tom Jones loses his money, joins the army, and pursues his beloved across Britain to London, where he becomes a kept lover and confronts the possibility of incest. Okay then. Okay then. I guess that's where we're going with this. I'm interested to read it. I have said this when I first announced that I was doing the 18th century novel project. I have not read a lot of 18th century literature, except for some things toward the end of the century. So reading some things from earlier in the century will be really interesting, and this certainly sounds like a wild ride. Next up, we have A Simple Story by Elizabeth Inchbald, which was published in 1791. My friend Michaela is actually writing a dissertation chapter on this, so I have read one of her conference papers about it that is a shortened version of her chapter. And this also sounds like kind of a wild ride. Let's see what the back says. When Miss Milner announces her passion for her guardian, a Catholic priest, she breaks through the double barrier of his religious vocation and her society's standards of proper womanly behavior. Her love is legitimized when Dorothy is released from his vows, but her own unorthodox nature cannot be contained by a marriage where her husband continues to be a stern moral guide. The 18th century was truly a wild time, apparently, as far as literature goes. Okay. And honestly, when I read my friend Michaela's conference paper, like she gave like a kind of basic summary of the plot, and I was like, what is this? This is crazy. I need to read it. So I decided to include it in my project. Very excited to get to it. Next up, we have a work from very early in the century, and this is Robinson Crusoe by Daniel Defoe. Daniel Defoe is considered like one of the first great English novelists. I have read his book Roxana before, but never Robinson Crusoe, which is weird because I feel like it gets referenced a lot in other literature, especially 19th century literature. So this was published in 1719, and it follows the title character when he gets shipwrecked on an island. And yeah, is just trying to stay alive. Oh, and apparently fights off cannibals and mutineers. We're gonna have a great time in 2025. Jeez. So yeah, I'm very interested to read this. One of the reasons I'm especially interested is because in The Moonstone by Wilkie Collins, there's a character named Gabriel Betteredge, who is one of the best characters in Victorian fiction. And he treats Robinson Crusoe like the Bible. Like in times of trouble, he picks up his copy of Robinson Crusoe and like opens to a random page to read a passage, which is something people do with the Bible. And I just think that's so funny. And I'm really excited to get to this and like see what Gabriel Betteredge thinks is so amazing about this book. This next one is actually a bind up. I had only planned on reading one of the books in here, but the Penguin edition comes in a bind up and I was like, more books, okay. So this is Mary and Maria by Mary Wollstonecraft and Matilda by Mary Shelley. So the one I am gonna be reading is Mary. Mary or Mariah? I don't know which one. I'm pretty sure it's Mary because it's the 1788 one. So Mary was published in 1788. Mariah was published in 1798 after Wollstonecraft died. So yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Mary that I wanted to read, but I'll probably end up pretty short. I'll probably end up reading both of them at least, in addition to Matilda. I actually already had a copy of Matilda, but it was like one of those print-on-demand copies, so I'm happy to have a Penguin of it. Matilda was actually written in 1819 and not published until like 1960 or something, because it deals with an incestuous father-daughter relationship. Again, we're gonna be having a great old time with the 18th century novel project. Oh, Mary explores the position of an alienated intellectual woman, and in portraying her struggle against the constraints of a claustrophobic feminine world, began a line that would include the more substantial heroines of Jane Eyre and Villette. Okay. And Maria apparently continues in fiction the arguments of a vindication of the rights of women. So, sounds like there's no crazy incest in Mary and Mariah, but Matilda will do for that. And then finally, we have The Vicar of Wakefield by Oliver Goldsmith, which was published in 1766. This is about Dr. Primrose, who is a country parson, a kindly man with a good heart, a good family, and a good income. And then his life is cruelly devastated by a series of misfortunes, and he ends up in jail. Okay. This is another one that gets referenced a lot in 19th century literature, and I'm pretty sure Christy Lewis from Dostoevsky in Space read this a few years ago, maybe, and highly recommended it, so I'm interested to get to it. It's also blessedly short, because a lot of these 19th century novels are really long. I was happy to see how short Robinson Crusoe was, too, because that will even out some of the things like Tom Jones over there, or Camilla by Frances Burney, and I'm pretty sure Tristram Shandy by Stern is pretty long, and that's on my list as well. So, something nice and short. So, that is my birthday book haul, plus 2 books that I bought before my birthday. Let me know down in the comments below, have you read any of these? What did you think? What books have you recently purchased or received? If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to see more of my bookish content. It has been great chatting with you. I will see you soon. Bye.